What am I most thankful for? I'm thankful I'm still alive.
I'm a 50-year-old Army veteran. During the Gulf War, I damaged my kidneys. Left untreated, it developed into stage 4 kidney disease, diabetes, and high blood pressure. I was hospitalized for congestive heart failure and hypertensive crisis. My A1C was 13. I was 240 pounds and I could hardly walk. The keto diet helped me lose 50 pounds and my feet are normal. I got my A1C to 7, and for my 50th birthday we went to Disneyland and we celebrated. Keto has helped me lose the weight, control my blood sugar, and has stabilized my blood pressure. Now I don't even take insulin anymore, and I have no problems walking or standing on my feet. Where do all the carbs come from in stuffing? Carbs come from the breadcrumbs, and in this box you have about 100 plus carbs. For a Thanksgiving feast, you're probably going to use more than one box of this stuff anyway. Put the breadcrumbs in a 1-gallon Ziploc bag and you'll see how much there is. Instead of using these traditional breadcrumbs, we're going to make our own breadcrumbs, enough to fill a 1-gallon bag, and it'll be low carb and keto friendly. This 1-gallon Ziploc bag of my homemade keto breadcrumbs have less than 50 grams of carbs total for the entire bag. First, we activate our yeast with a 1/4 cup of warm water and a tablespoon of chicken bouillon. Stir in 2 tablespoons of yeast, and you're going to need just a little bit of honey, just to feed the yeast and activate it. Stir everything together until it's smooth and let it rise. Now we're going to combine our dry ingredients to make a batter, using 1 cup of vital wheat gluten and 1/2 cup of dried Parmesan cheese. You're also going to add 1/2 cup of flaxseed, and then we're going to season it with a tablespoon of onion powder. Once you have all that in a bowl, mix it up really well, get all the lumps out of the Parmesan cheese, and it should look like this. Then you're ready to mix the wet ingredients. Now you can add the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients. Start with the olive oil. It's going to be 1/2 cup of olive oil. Dump it on in, and then you're going to add the egg whites, which is 2 egg whites. Next comes 1 cup of warm water, and then you're going to stir that all together until you get a smooth batter. We do this because we're not using flour. You can't knead the dough. You have to make a batter first. So this is what activated yeast looks like. It's thick and foamy, and it's doubled in size. So now you're going to add it to your batter and stir that and mix it really well. And once you have a smooth consistency, you can start to make the dough. To turn this batter into dough, add 1 cup of vital wheat gluten and mix it thoroughly. Now you're ready to take the dough, form it into a loaf of bread, put it into a bread pan, and bake it till it's done. But this kind of dough is not like the traditional dough you're probably used to, where you use flour. I mean, you can't knead it. That's why we had to make a batter and then make it into a dough. As you can see, I'm working on a lightly greased surface area. I'm not using a lightly floured surface area. And I have my hands, it has a small coating of olive oil that lets me handle the loaf without it sticking to the countertops or sticking to my hands. So I can form the bread, pick it up, and put it in the parchment paper. Now, like traditional breads, you could flour and grease the pan. Well, you can't do that with this kind of bread, so I use the parchment paper. And you'll see when it's done, you can lift it right out of the pan very easily. You can let the bread rise for an additional 20 minutes before putting it in the oven. But then you're going to bake it for about an hour and 10 minutes at 325 degrees until done. Then let it cool on a rack. While it's cooling on the rack, you can use a butter knife on the parts that don't have parchment paper to gently free it from the pan. And then you can lift it out and place it on the cooling rack to cool until it's really, really, really cool. Then you can slice it up in bread slices. And from there, you can make your cubes, your croutons, however thickness you want it, whatever size. And then you put it on a baking sheet. Now you're going to put it back in the oven for about an hour at 200 degrees and wait till you have breadcrumbs. Now you're ready to make the stuffing.
Bacon is a great ingredient for making keto stuffing. It has no carbs. Some bacon does have carbs because they honey glaze it or whatever they do to it, so read the label and be sure. We're going to slice up our bacon like this and fry it in a pan. I fry my bacon well and I drain the bacon fat. Celery is another low-carb ingredient used for keto stuffing. Add your celery to the bacon and cook until it's translucent.
When everything is cooked the way you like it and the celery is translucent, then you can get ready to add the soup base and the breadcrumbs. Everybody likes their stuffing a little different, so you can decide how much breadcrumbs you want to add and how much soup base you want to add. Add your breadcrumbs and mix it. You want it to be moist but not soppy. Remember to add the soup base gradually. You can always add more later if you want, but adding too much at one time makes it mushy. Keep it covered on the lowest setting on the stove. This helps it moisten thoroughly and it makes it flaky. Regular onions have carbs, so we select green onions and use only the green leafy stalks. On keto, it's a good idea to refrain from onions or use green onions anywhere you can in place of real onions. Mix everything together and this is what you get.
In packaged gravy, the carbs come from the flour or the cornstarch they use to thicken it. Making 2 cups of this gravy yields 24 grams of carbs. I'm going to show you how to make 2 cups of gravy that only has 8 grams of carbs. You're going to need 2 cups of whatever it is you're going to thicken to become a gravy. Here we're using chicken broth, but you can also use the drippings from your chicken or turkey.
We're using 1/3 cup of vital wheat gluten to thicken it. That's about 8 grams per 2 cups of gravy. Mix the vital wheat gluten with 1/4 cup softened butter. You can also use 1/4 cup oil drippings from your roasted bird, but make sure it's cool.
Gradually combine the 2 cups of cooled liquid with the vital wheat gluten paste. Stir until it's smooth and lump-free. Use a saucepan to bring it to a simmer, but keep it moving so you don't get lumps and so it doesn't burn. Add salt and pepper to taste, then put it in your gravy boat for serving. There you go, 2 cups of homemade gravy with just 1/3 of the carbs found in packaged gravy.
Now, cranberry sauce has a lot of carbs, but what would Thanksgiving be without cranberry sauce? So, we're going to make our own. And as you can see, a cup of traditional cranberry sauce can have over 100 grams of carbs. So what we're going to do is we're only going to use 1/2 cup of cranberries, which is about 6 grams. That's our limit. We're going to sweeten it with Splenda, and we're going to use a cucumber to make up the difference of the cranberries. We're going to thicken it using gelatin, which has no carbs. We'll use 1 mini cucumber, which has about 2 grams of carbs in it. We're using just 1/2 an envelope of gelatin, a cucumber, the Splenda, and cranberries. Put it in a saucepan on medium and heat it until it starts to thicken. It should bubble like a thick gravy, and then when it's cool, it'll be a gelled cranberry sauce. Pour it into your serving dish and let it cool. And there you go, your homemade cranberry sauce. And remember to watch your portions. Just like with any other keto food, even though it's low carb, if you eat too much of it, you will exceed your carb limit and you'll be out of ketosis. But it's Thanksgiving, so celebrate just a little. So, what are you going to serve for Thanksgiving dinner as far as drinks are concerned? I mean, alcohol is out. You can't have any wine or champagne. And Welch's sparkling cider is out too because that's got too many carbs. So a sparkling water is what we're going to do. And if you don't have one of these soda machines, it's really great that you try it. So you put your own water in there, and water has no carbs. You put it in the machine and it carbonates it for you. So what we do is we go to Walmart and we get these water enhancers, their flavors, grape or raspberry or lemonade, and choose the ones where it has 0 carbs. You look on the back. They're mostly sweetened with Splenda or something. And after you've carbonated your water, add some to it, cover it up, and shake it up, and it's like a soda. Put it in the refrigerator for a while, let it chill real good. We served ours in champagne flutes or wine glasses. It added a nice touch to the Thanksgiving dinner, and it's a great substitute. This drink has absolutely no carbs.